Welcome to our midweek meditation here from St. John's American Lutheran Church. Special welcome to any guests, because if you wish, you can always share this video with other people who are wanting to hear a midweek meditation. The reading for our meditation is read from Psalm 22, a very well-known psalm. Not as well as 23, but 22 is fairly well known. Psalm 22, verses 25 through 31. From you comes my praise in the great assembly. I will perform my vows in the sight of those who fear the Lord. The poor shall eat and be satisfied. Let those who seek the Lord give praise. May your hearts live forever. All the ends of the earth shall remember and turn to the Lord. All the families of the nations shall bow before God. For dominion belongs to the Lord, who rules over the nations. Indeed, all who sleep in the earth shall bow down and worship. All those who go down to the dust, though they be dead, shall kneel before the Lord. Their descendants shall serve him, whom they shall proclaim to generations to come. And they shall proclaim God's deliverance to a people yet unborn, saying to them that the Lord has indeed acted. Here ends the reading. Once again, turning to the psalm for the week for some inspiration for a meditation, because I normally preach on the gospel text or the Old Testament or New Testament text. So sometimes the psalm gets lost, but I'm picking up some of the psalms and trying to meditate on them and give a message out about them. Well, this week's psalm comes from Psalm 22. It's one less than 23, and it's known a little bit less, but it's still very well known. Because if you were ever on a Monday, Thursday service, sometimes it gets read. All of the verses. This week, though, we find our reading comes from the final few verses. So we do not get the whole idea that we find in this psalm. This psalm is what's known as a lament. It begins, my God, why have you forsaken me? Probably have heard those words before. In it is a spilling out of the guts of the psalmist to God about how everything is going to heck in a handbasket. First, a couple words about this whole idea of lament. Something that we do not usually have a forum for in modern days. Well, we do if you ever filled out a comment card or a complaint form to a company or to a person. You usually start by saying one or two good things, followed by the real reason for your note. This usually started with the word but. It's like, I like your meditations, but, followed by a rant of complaints. While working in the restaurant business, we try to keep those numbers of these down by sending the managers to the tables, trying to mitigate problems and issues before they even rose. But still, we still got our number of complaints. Like the one that I remember that they wrote, their food was cold by the time that they got home. And she drove some 30 minutes before she got home. And still expected the food to be toasty warm, just like it was at the restaurant. Pastors, yes, we too get a number of comments. Often I've heard complaints, and they're couched in the form of a compliment. And strangely enough, these are the most difficult ones, because sometimes they feel like they're trying to say something good when in actuality they're making a complaint. When making a comment, please remember that all of us here are trying to do our best. That includes the staff and the whole organization. The whole of the laments that we find in the Psalms, they are filled with emotion and faith. so intertwined that sometimes those two are difficult to separate. But that also goes to show how much of our faith is bound up emotionally. It is where the brain meets the heart, and the difficult balance that must be maintained when it comes to this whole idea of faith. If we get too much heart, we lose. We lose the gift of intelligence that God has given us. Sometimes people check their brains at the door when they walk in the church, but no, God has given you a brain for a good reason. Now, faith without intelligence, now, like I said, it just comes down to being a feeling. But if we add the brain to it, we are able to accomplish some amazing things while acting in the realm of faith. On the other hand, if we lose the heart, then all we have left is our intellect. While we can figure out many things, people like that, their lives lack purpose and direction, and lose the whole concept of empathy and sympathy and caring and compassion. All too often it comes down to that they are just here for themselves. But we are reminded in this psalm that we are not here for ourselves, but we are also here to serve one another. And this is exactly what we find at the end of Psalm 22, but in a more poetic setting. That faith with the right balance of both the heart and the brain combined. When both are combined, it brings us to the ultimate conclusion. And what is that? The act of praise. Because when we combine the act of praise, when we combine the two, our eyes are uplifted to God, as are our hearts. And we see that God has truly acted on our behalf. So that when our life is said and done, you see that what is truly what our lives are all about. Not to make money, not to be famous, not to score 1 million points in the local video parlor. No, our lives ultimately are about giving God's praise. May we do so each and every day. Amen.